PM Lifestyle Podcast, man. We back in the building. We're gonna go ahead. We have a special little thing we're gonna get out to y'all tonight, man. A special viewing, and got some real intelligent brothers that it came out, and they gonna give us some of their best advice tonight. And I'm glad to have them on the show. Most first time guests, I can say that. You know what I mean? And we're gonna have a real serious conversation about some stuff that affects a lot of us as black men in America. And I'm glad to have presented to you guys first, or here first for the first time. So we're gonna go ahead and do it. Introduce coming to the podcast, the PM podcast. But before that, you subscribe, like, follow, share the content if you like it. You know what I mean? Refer a friend. And definitely let us know what you think. Pop up in the comments and things like that. And I want to introduce tonight's guest, Mr. Wizzo,
Boom.
Rico,
What's going on?
and Big Pokey.
What's good?
What's up, fellas? How y'all doing, man?
All
All
right,
right,
what's
it's
going
good.
on?
Good.
Yes, sir.
All right. So what I like to do is go ahead and let everybody introduce himself. Starting with top left. Start off with Wizzo. Let them know who you are and where you from.
All right, everybody. Appreciate it. It's Paul Wizzo coming to you straight up out of Central Texas. Glad to be here and most definitely looking forward to sharing whatever I can share with you. So look me on up at Paul Wizzo and Wizzo Talk podcast.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And then next we got Mr. Rico at the bottom left. Introduce yourself. Let them know where you from.
Hello, everyone. I'm Rico. I'm from East Texas, but I'm on the podcast If Relationships Can Talk. You can follow us on all the major platforms, or you can just follow me, Riding with Rico, on all the major platforms, including YouTube.
And not last but not least, the man at the bottom right, Mr. Pokey. Introduce yourself, baby.
What's good? What's good, Pete? Big Poke Dog here. Rico, I'm from East Texas as well, from Longview. Where you from?
I love it.
Dufkin. All right. I'm sorry.
Oh, the
When he said
Lobo.
that, when
The
he said that, I just
Lobo.
had to speak on it. But
Yeah.
I'm kind of new to the whole internet thing. I'm late to the party, is how I like to say it. But it's Big Poke on everything: Instagram, X, all that good stuff.
Well, I'm definitely glad to have you fellas on board, man, here tonight. And if you're listening, if you're online, you're watching us right now, man, feel free to go ahead and follow these fellas. Like, share, subscribe, what they have going on. Check into them and see what they have going on. It's nothing but it's free. It's a click away. You know what I'm saying? And
Yep.
we can go ahead and, you know, bring this family together. You know what I mean? So tonight, we have these brothers online here tonight, man, for first time on the PM podcast. And we're here to discuss a lot of things that's going on in community and stuff like that, and in the world today. Kind of crazy out there. We Agent Orange is in the office. We have a lot of different things going on that's affecting a lot of people in the world, but mainly in the black community. The black male is referred to as the head of the household most of the time, all the time, and we take on a lot of stress coming up in this world, man, from uh, different things that we face, from battling with the police, head of household, our children, our women and our family coming to us to be, because they know we're in that number one spot. And sometimes it can be a lot stressful to us. And we take on a lot, affects us in different ways. And be honest with you, we don't have nobody to turn to sometimes to release our stress. Sometimes to talk to before having to go to a counselor and things of that nature. So I brought the fellas on tonight because I had a recently had a guest, and I mentioned him this past Sunday. He was the owner of Gangsta Holistic out of Los Angeles. And he was going through some health issues, and he was showing how holistic therapy changed his life around. He recently passed yesterday, and he was a guest on the show, man, a real nice fella, real cool dude. And I just ran across, a lot of different emotions last night, and I decided to say, you know what? Who do I turn to when I need to release some steam or talk to somebody besides God? But who you talk to in a physical sense? That's here. When your family look at you as being the number one person, your daughters, your sons, and people in different walks of life look at you for answers. you give them the answers, but then who do you turn around and talk to? So, Tim, in a situation like that, just start off with you. Oh, Wizzo, excuse me, with Wizzo, who is it? Somebody that How do you make that approach? How does it affect you, and who do you turn to, or who do us as men, turn to release that steam, or just to have that conversation?
Right, right. Well, I've heard some people say, they'll sit down and they'll have that conversation with God. I don't, and that's just me. I may be walking and talking or whatever, or something like that, but I think all of us as men need someone that we can talk to, because we can't always talk to our spouse or something like that, or share everything with our spouse, because we may have to hear it again and open up truly to them. So I have a couple of friends that I'll sit down and I'll talk to, and some of them just know to just listen. They may ask me, say, Wizzo, one of them, my cousin Big Woo, that's up in the DFW area. I can call on him. Another friend of mine is Brian Hill. When I tell you this little deal quick, I was going to Iraq to work in Iraq. Uh, they wasn't gonna let me go. They said, "Oh, $500 in child support." I'm like, my child support saying zero. I'm coming back because I had already quit my job. I'm feeling like shit. I called him just to vent. I was $500 short. He said, Wizzo, he said, come by here, man, and get that 500. He said, just pay me back when you get back. Me and Brian been friends for about over 30 years. So he's just someone that I can kind of go to, no judgment, and just go on and talk to you. I will say this before you go on to the next person. I'm personally not a big believer in counseling. I've tried it once before, kind of when I was married, for just one time, but we didn't go too deep off into it. If I am going to try counseling, it will not. It would have to be someone that looks like me, because I think that white person can relate to me. So I don't want to talk to them. So
Mhm.
counseling wise, it has to be someone of color. If I do it, so I do have a couple of people that I talk to that I think all men need somebody to talk to.
And that's a
Yes.
big thing too in our community. When they mention counseling, I've also been there one time, and I didn't graduate counseling. It didn't go the way it's planned. He walked me to the door and said, "You're all right, man. We need to finish working on the other subject." So it was crazy because it took me a while to get there, but once I got there, I had to have somebody that looked like me that can understand my terminology. What I can go through on a day to day basis. What I mean? And then what's so crazy about mine? I didn't have just one person. I had a male and a female therapist that was helping me with my situation. So it wasn't one-sided, or it wasn't like, "Oh, I went and recruited this person, or they recruited the person, or investigated the person." Now they had to look through our lifestyle and stuff like that. So it was kinda different for me with the counseling thing too. So, Rico, what was your experience with the whole, who can you run to? Is it somebody that you could talk to, or, how do you release that stress, or that steam, that pressure?
For me, I'm blessed and lucky to have a friend like for probably over 30 years as well. That anytime I'm going through something, I could call him and talk to him. But also, being that I was in the military for over 20 years, I had access to mental health. So I was blessed in that sense as well. And if I can't talk about it with him, I'll say that for me, because I've had my own mental health issues. I had a counselor there in Killeen. Her name is Natasha Wilson, and she's melanated. She's a black woman, and for the first time after talking with her, she was my first black counselor. I was able to be comfortable, relax, and actually speak. And I got help all through the time I was in the military. Nothing ever changed, but after speaking with her, and her being able to relate to me, I've seen changes, and the people around me have seen the changes through counseling. So I'll say, if you don't have someone to talk to, go to your preacher or go seek help, but don't sit out and try to deal with it by yourself. Because as black men, you know that we are 4 times more likely to commit suicide than black women, for the simple fact, because of stress, depression. They distrust the medical because of the, like, Wizzo, you said, which one of y'all said that they got to look like us?
Me,
Wisdom.
Yeah, you said
Yeah.
that. Distrust with the medical service, financial issues. So it's plenty of reasons that we don't get there. But for me, I feel like it was a little combination of both. My good friend and then Mrs. Wilson there at It's a Journey Counseling in Killeen, Texas, downtown.
Okay. So yeah, the military thing, I know that's a lot of stress within itself. You guys see a lot of stuff that most
Yes.
people don't experience in a lifetime. So I couldn't imagine, going through that experience alone. Wizzo, you was in the military too, also?
Negative. I used to work. I was a contractor working in Iraq, but let me tell
Okay.
you this though, PM. And I'm not scared to say it. I was scared the mother sucker because when them mortars start coming in and
Yeah.
the alarm starts sounding, hey,
It's
anything they ain't
real.
got nobody name on them. So my first time getting over there, I tell anybody I was scared because I didn't know what to expect. So to answer your question, no, I wasn't in the military. I worked with them over there in Iraq as a contractor. I used to work for KBR, and after a while, I got a little bit relaxed. I ain't lying. I was scared when that shit go doop, doop, doop.
Yeah. And you don't know where it's coming from.
I know that sound. You don't. When you hear them sirens going off, you just know it's incoming.
Yeah, look
You
at
don't
Big
know where
Pokey
it's gonna
laughing,
lay.
man. Shit,
You
man.
run,
Yeah.
they like, get to the bunker. Get to the bunker.
You getting out of here. But
Yeah.
Big Pokey, man, like what's your experience with it? Like who do you really show me your stress to, or do you have somebody that you can actually bring this kind of conversation to?
I've actually experienced all three of the situations. So initially, before she passed away, without even needing to say any words, when I needed that stress relief, it was just a long hug from my mother. No words. If I needed to, I don't know, scream or whatever, I could do it in her chest, and I would just be accepted. After she passed away, tried the counseling thing and had similar experiences with that. When somebody else is telling you the same thing you already said, and they're acting like it's the greatest thing since sliced bread, that can mess with you emotionally for real. You know. And then, of course, I've got my best friend. I've been best friends with him since third grade.
Mm.
Since third grade, he's been my best friend. Uh, there was a time when I thought that it wasn't worth it no more. He was there for me, and it wasn't even about talking about what the situation was. It was just he was able to make me look at life and know that I can enjoy it.
That's
I like
Yeah,
that.
see, with my situation, man, I have friends, I have, close friends and stuff like that. It's just that I'm the oldest, most of them,
Mm.
and I've experienced a lot more, so I tend to be there for them. I have one that I talk to, but it's not like, and he's my dog. I'm gonna say this, he's my dog, but he's the type of person that lets you run through the stop sign, and after you done ran through the stop sign, hit 4 cars and went to the river, he'll tell you, "Oh, it was a stop sign right there." You know?
Oh, wow.
So that's my dog, but
Yeah.
he gonna tell you after. You know what I'm saying? I was like, "Well, bro, why you ain't say nothing?" "Nah, I ain't really say nothing." So I ain't really have that confidence to come to him and just say this. Now, I can say this, that a lot of and Tim, you've been there. I mean, Big Poke, you've been there, like coming through the barbershop.
Oh yeah.
A lot of our conversations there used to, kind of help that situation because, we bouncing it off of 5 guys in there that's, every day plus the people that was coming into the shop. So we had a lot of interesting conversations in there. So you can see it from different angles. And
Yeah.
even if you didn't partake into the conversation, you can kind of listen
Yeah.
and kind of map out what something's gonna be good for you or which avenue to take. So that helps, and it really is the Black Man Country Club. But
It
Oh,
is.
sure.
My
For
yeah,
best
sure.
friend is a barber, so I spend a lot of time in there talking with him. And in my particular situation, where Miss Wilson helped me out was I was raised by my grandparents, and my mom and dad never did anything for me. And I thought because I had them as my parents that I was good when it came to mom and dad. But little did I know, I guess I had some mama issues because what I found out was I thought I was a sex addict. So I went to counseling for it because it was just I like sex. And
mm,
but the counselor eventually she told me, Miss Wilson, she eventually said, she asked me a few questions. Is it affecting your life or is it destroying you? You can't work. I was like, no. She said, you're not an addict. You just like women. So because addicts' lives are destroyed. I was like, I'm not doing nothing for it. I'm not paying for it and stuff like that. But I got help. I opened myself up to her and I realized that it wasn't the sex that I was looking for. What I was actually searching for was love from a woman. And she said it had to do everything with my mom. And once her and I, we started back talking again, I slowly started to realize that Miss Wilson was right. I realized that after talking with my mom, and now we starting to build a type of relationship, that I didn't go out seeking that love and affection from just different women all the time. And I'm so glad that I did, because I really thought I had a problem. And although it was a problem, it wasn't the problem that I had. And through therapy and stuff, like I'm a lot happier in relationships and everything. So I tell men out there, if you can't afford counseling, go to your preacher, go to your uncle that's a preacher, go to someone, because unless you get it out and talk about it, you're going to be a lot like I was for like 40 years of my life. You not even knowing that I'm angry on the inside, but on the outside, everything appears to be happy. So definitely get you some help.
If
Oh, go ahead.
if I may, I think that all of us as men need someone to talk to, and whoever that fits you, whether that be God for you, whether that be a mom for you or whatever, or whether that be a counselor or whatever. Me personally, I've heard people relate to preachers a lot, and me, I'm just not that guy to open up to my pastor, which I haven't been to church in a while, but that's neither here nor there. But I can't open up to them, especially because I know so many of them that's doing wrong and done wrong. So it's hard for me to open up to him once I know that he was sleeping with Sister Jones or whatever, something like that. So it's hard for me to open up to a preacher like that, and
Yeah. Yeah, because
so
a lot of them,
but
hey,
us as men, is I think especially us as men of color, we have so much to deal with, and it's almost strange. It's not strange, but it's I mean, it's not sad, but it's something where we really can't talk to our spouse about that, for those of us have one, because sometimes we have to hold the line and we have to be strong, and we don't want to show weakness to them. And sometimes they want us to open up to them like that. But I think sometimes we as men, we still hold back. But that just
definitely.
And I've been hearing a lot like lately, like a lot of men don't want to fully open up to their spouse because they're scared that it's gonna pop up later on in an argument. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Come up.
They
So
use what you
I
told
think
them
it's
as a weapon.
dangerous. Yeah, I think
it's
it's a
Yes.
dangerous.
dangerous thing to do.
Yes. Unless y'all solid and y'all been together. Like I've been with my wife, man. We've been together since high school. So she know everything about me from little kid on up until now. Because a lot of for women out there, if you're watching, if your man ever makes himself vulnerable to you and tries to open up to you, please don't ever use that as a weapon against him when y'all have a disagreement and tell someone. Because if you do, your relationship is basically over, because he will never open up to you again and he will emotionally detach from you. So that happens a lot. I wouldn't do it with just any woman. No, you can't, because they'll use it against you.
So, or are you three fellas married?
I
Yeah.
am
I, I've been married 18 to
18
18?
times.
no, I've been married twice.
You a
I
serial?
was about to say, Wizzo, you might be the problem.
Yes.
No, I, I've been married twice, and I'm gonna share y'all with this. I'm gonna share this with y'all. Because how we talk about how to come back up to you. So I'm not big on the word "I love you" and showing emotion, like and saying that. I'm a big, I would tell my lady that this is how I show emotion, by this is what I do, this is what I do. So there was this one incident where when I was married to my second wife, and she was wanting me to say, to go on and say, I love you. So finally, I get around to saying, well, I love you. And so she said, well, it don't sound like you meant that. Or she would say,
Wow.
well, why do I have to say it first? Now look, I didn't finally got there. Now you didn't fucking now you didn't freaking set me back. Excuse me, P. Now you didn't set me back.
You just set me
So
back 2 years.
you just set me back 2 years. So now I'm back on the slave ship. So I'm just saying, once that man he thinks about that, and finally when he opens up to you about it, don't bring
just
it back up to him later.
just
Absorb it
listen.
in and be the strength that he needs and
Yeah.
appreciate the fact that he opened up to you to talk about that. Because sometimes us men, we don't talk to our spouse about that because we got to be stronger from them and we don't want to hear it again.
No.
We want to share it with you and let it end right there.
Right there.
With something that Wizzo just said, it brought up, I have a similar, it wasn't me, but I have a cousin in the process of going through a divorce right now. She is divorcing her husband. They've been married 18, 20 years. She is divorcing her husband because he refuses to actually say, I love you first. Like, seriously. He won't show any affection. He really don't. The way she explained it to me, she was like, he has resentment towards her because of all the success she has. And he just used simple things against little things against her. Always telling her life always been easy for you. But he never said I love you first, and he don't want to show any affection, and she's divorcing him.
Oh, he's saying it. He's just not saying it first.
He'll say it after she said it.
Ah,
Or she'll say, tell
you
me you love me. And he'll say, I don't get down like that. Yeah.
okay. So that's got to be some trauma, right?
Yeah,
Exactly.
Further
I
down the
told
there's
her
a
line.
that.
little bit more to the story than
I
that.
told her that.
that
I
he's
said,
dealing with.
whether you know it or not, he got some some issues going on from probably from when he was a child or something. I don't know, but definitely something happened because any man that you marry a woman, you definitely love her. But saying it, he has some issues. You're gonna lose your entire family and 4 kids because you won't say that. So he definitely has some issues going on.
And that's crazy because I just had a show last Sunday, and the young lady's on there saying that she never was in love. And I asked her, I said, "So what are you doing when you're in the bed with your dude?" He turned around and said, "Baby, I love you." And she gonna look at him and say, "I like you too, my nigga." Like, it's like, I promise you, you can check out last week's episode, and that's what she said. Now,
He won't say it again, and he probably default from it.
now the problem I was having with that, she was 20 years old.
I
You
wouldn't want
cannot
you to
tell
say
me at
that again.
20,
I was like, don't tell me that ever again. Oh yeah,
"What, I like you a
I
lot."
like you too, my nigga. Yeah, no,
You
don't
say
ever say
she's
that to me
20?
again.
She was 20 at the time. She married
Oh,
a dude. He was a dope boy. But she couldn't you can't tell me that you wasn't head over heels with this dude and you loved him first. Now your past relationships, I mean your ones after him, you probably was like, nah, I ain't on this love thing. But you loved that first one.
yeah,
You was head over heels with him. I mean, about him. You had to be because he was 20 years old. This dude was older. He was a dope boy. He was taking care of you. And she said she wanted that sense of security. But in my situation, and I'm recently divorced back in November. I was married for 10 years total, together for 5, separated for 5. So I was told that I didn't love her. I loved the kids more than I loved her. And me personally, yeah, you see that look?
yeah,
Me
like that.
personally, that's just what she said. She said, "You don't love me, you love the kids." I was
What's
like,
wrong
"Well,
with that?
shoot, I love you different than the kids. I'm in love with you, and I love my children. I love them for children. I love you as my wife."
Yeah,
And she wasn't having it. As you can see, you see where I'm at now. But it's one of those things.
I would say that women, if she said that, maybe she did. Did she have any trauma from her past? Well, we all have trauma coming from when we was kids. We all done seen some things when we was kids with our parents. So she probably had some of her own issues going on herself.
She has some things going on.
Yeah,
Um, stemming from her father.
yeah.
But I could have been there to help you with it, help you through it. I could have been there to talk to you. I mean, I had problems with my pops. He wasn't there, never seen him. I called him the first time, like, "Hey, what's up, man? It's P. It's your son Phalon. My mom gave me the number. He called me. He hung up on me. I
What?
was like, yo, mama, the phone broke. That's back when you needed to put in the long distance passcode.
Yeah,
Make a
yeah.
phone call. Yeah, and she like, "Yeah, okay, go ahead. Imma go ahead and try it again." She told me, she warned me before I did it, like, "You might not wanna do that." So I called him back, told him, "Hey, man, Billy, this your son, Phalon, trying to call you, man. What's going on? How you doing?" Goop, goop, hung up. I looked at my mom, I was like, "Right." And I ain't never called him again. So, I
Wow.
couldn't. Yeah, it was crazy. It was crazy, but I dealt with that. I don't know how it would affected me because he wasn't never in my life to be there at a stage to where I can say, "Oh, okay, I'm missing dad," or "I'm missing" I just never knew it because I grew up around women.
Yeah.
So, that's how I got a lot of my, I can say this, a lot of my game from the women.
Mhm.
But in return, now that I'm older, I'll be the one that they'll come to ask me questions and stuff like that. So I don't have that person that I can go talk to. You know what I mean? Which is crazy.
Yeah. Wow. I understand with what you were talking about. I have a friend I'm talking to. Her she has a son. He's about 22, 23, and he's never spoke with his dad. They live
Mhm.
in Lufkin, in the same little city in Lufkin, and his dad has never been there for him. And he has another son the exact same age. They graduated high school together, but his dad was there to
Wow.
see his brother, but not him. But now as he's out of school, he's just in trouble, been locked up a few times, and he's just an angry person. He wants to fight everybody. And I told her it's his daddy. He either go need to slap his daddy because they right there, or just go ask him like, why you done dummy like this? You've never even said hi to me. Yeah. You
So
know
with
Lufkin
that,
isn't big. They both right there in Lufkin. This man 23 years old and has never got any close from me to that computer to his dad.
wow. And
Yeah.
so did they graduate the same year?
Yes, exact
How many
2 months
years?
apart from one another. They know each
That's
other.
wild.
They talk, but the dad doesn't have. He talks to his dad's other kids, but
Mhm.
not him.
So with that being said, he's at a certain age. We all go through something. We just recently had a stabbing in Frisco, Texas,
Yes,
at a
Mhm.
track meet. I don't know if you fellows all heard about it, right?
Yeah.
yes,
So you have brother that has lost his other brother. That dad's in some pain. I'm pretty sure that the family's going to his dad for question. He has to be the strong and he has to be the backbone to the situation. I'm pretty sure that he has to go in a room and deal with that on his own at some magnitude. Now we have the brother and the one that's accused of doing it, right?
Mhm.
Um, his dad has to be the strong person in the family. I know the mother's coming to him like I lost my baby, and I don't know I don't know how to bring him back home. One's not coming home, and then one's you
Might
know
not never make it home.
on trial for something. So two men right there having to deal with that type of situation at that magnitude, it's crazy. So, and listening to what you said about the young man and his dad having his brother graduate from the same school, the
yeah.
next question would be, how do hurt men heal? Like, how do we heal from the different traumas and the things that we're faced with on a day-to-day basis? You have people that go years without healing. I didn't find out I had problems until maybe 2 years ago when I went to a doctor and he was like, "Oh, man, you have PTSD."
Mhm.
I didn't
Wow.
know. I'm explaining to the doctor. He like, "Yeah, you didn't. Yeah, I done seen a couple of people shot in the head. I done lost my homeboy. This got shot and this." And shit, we doing it on FaceTime, and I'm watching his facial expressions, and the doctor's face is just going crazy. But I'm actually telling the truth. So Rico, like, how do you answer that question, dude? How do hurt men heal?
For me, and I'd say for all men who's in denial about it, the you can't heal until you actually admit the fact that you got some trauma that you need to deal with. Because that was one of my problems before I got with Miss Wilson. And I kept saying, I had a mom, I had a dad, they were just my grandparents. So when
Mm.
all that time, them years in the military, I didn't find her till after the military. And it wasn't until her I realized that I did have those issues. And now I'm healing actually after I found out. So you need to admit, it's okay to admit you have some mental issues. I know it's a stigma in our communities about, about things like that, but it's okay because at the end of the day, it will make you a better person, not just for you, for your family, for your kids, for your girlfriend or your woman. But for me, I couldn't start healing until I admitted that I had something to heal from.
Wow, that's deep. That's deep. And did your wife, she didn't pick up on anything because you've been with her some for a long time. Your wife didn't pick up on nothing that,
Oh,
that
she
kind
had
of
been telling me, you got mommy issues. She been saying
okay.
that for a long time. I just told her, you out your mind. Yeah. Yeah. She been telling me that. Whew, long as we've been since we was kids.
And Big Pokey, what do you think about it, man? How do what would be your scenario on how to heal?
I, I agree with Rico. You do have to recognize that there is an issue. Um, now, the word trauma, it gets used so much, so I dislike using it myself. But
Mhm.
when it comes to recognizing habits that are debilitating to being a progressive human being, that somebody else would probably have to help you do that, but you have to be wanting to be a better person. I'd say it more like that you do have to want to be a better person and have the willpower to actually enact it. Because a lot of bad habits that we all share just as humans is being apathetic. Like if today can just go by, I'll wake up tomorrow and it's just fine. Instead of today, these are the 5 steps I'm going to take to make sure that I have done something better than I did yesterday.
Hmm, I like that. I like that.
Gotta track that approach, man. Do you think a lot of this leads to like drug abuse, Wizzo?
Do I think it leads to drug abuse?
Yeah, and do you do substance abuse or you take another route to kind of cover up, the pain? That's
Right.
something that you're going through. I know a lot of women have become more sexually active
Mhm.
Yes.
situation. So, like with men, do you think they become abusive? You
Mhm.
abuse drugs? Do you abuse your wife, your dog, whatever the case may be? Like, what are some other side effects that you might see about how to hurt men? How we heal through the situation.
Right. And I think all of that, every situation is different, and I think that some men uh, will be abusive to their partner, their marriage, wife, or whoever. They kick the crap out the dog or whatever and stuff like that and throw the cat out the damn window, something like that, dealing with it. But, first you have to kind of recognize and know that, that you have that issue or you have that problem. And your partner, she may be able to see it. I'll tell you this right now. My fiance didn't told me a long time ago that I need to see a counselor. You know what I told her? I ain't seeing no mother sucking counselor. I didn't say sucking, but I'm just saying
Yeah.
because I'm not for different reasons that she say that I should talk to him for different things like that. But I'm not abusive. I'm not whatever, but she sees something to where she say that I need to talk with her. But until I go on and accept that and whatever, and the way that I feel about counselors and stuff, it's not gonna happen. I'm not going. I think PM, you said it didn't go well with you offering with the counselor. I'll talk to my partner, whatever, and I control myself, and then I work on some of the things that she's told me about that. What I need or what she sees. But to answer your question, yeah, I think men, we all are so differently that we all will handle it differently. But it definitely don't need to be violent toward your partner or toward your kids or taking it out on anybody like that. If it get to that point, you really do need to seek some help because you may run up on that strong woman to where she's getting tired of it and then she gonna put that shotgun on your ass. I'm just saying.
Yeah, and it's going to cause you all kinds of
Yeah.
issues in your personal life. Most people will not want to be around you. I have this guy I grew up with. He's my cousin, but we were more like brothers. And when his mom passed away, after when we were in high school, after she passed away, he's never been the same. And we about to turn 50. He'll be 50 in July. And because of after that, he's been in and out of prison since we were kids. But he just he fought everybody, started stealing, drinking, doing drugs, and he's never been able to get past when his mom passed away. After that, everything went downhill. He probably been in prison 5, 6 times. So Yeah.
Did he
His
have a
dad,
dad also?
His dad had passed away before his mom.
Oh, he lost both of them, so he's basically learning as he goes along, right?
Yeah, we was, yep, about that. Yeah. We
Wow.
were, no, we wasn't that young. We were about, I think it was our senior year in high school when his mom passed away.
Oh man, that can
Yeah, he
affected
went
'cause
downhill and he's been still in that same boat. Still don't have a care in the world and want to just fight everybody. And he's destroyed plenty of relationships from with his sister, um, his brothers, friends, cousins. Yeah,
You
he
know,
just don't.
if I may say something right quick, PM, and I think that if that was the trigger, that was the thing that set it off, that made him reply like that, or to reach out and to do things like that. Because I'll tell you this, and I'll share this with you guys, because I can now sometimes, but I lost my mom. Me and my brother went to the store. We come back. We was gone about 15 minutes. She was laid out across the bed. I had to do CPR. I know what I was doing. It's hard to do CPR on one that you love. But I didn't turn to do any of those things like that. And right to this day, it just depends on how the conversation come about, because a few about the last year we was on the podcast and a guy mentioned something about who raised you, and I had to pause for a second because I started fucking crying. Oh, excuse me. I started crying because it hit me emotionally then, but nothing has set that trigger off to make me be this violent person, to make me do that. And I think if you go see a counselor, and I think you should try to lean, hopefully they'll try not to lean you toward any type of medication to get you hooked on anything. But now it's a case by case. Some of them may need it, but if by all means that you can stay away from it, stay away from it. But I was, to walk in and see my mom like that after we had just left. Never been in the hospital, but one day in her life, blood pressure 245 over 145. Never forget it. And she stayed in hospital a few days, and I come out, and she came out, and me and my brother, like I said, we found her, but that didn't set no trigger off in me to make me want to do any hurt, harm, or danger to anyone, or drugs, whatever. And I was raised by my mom, so we were tight as a drum. And with that being said, if I may just back up just for a minute, PM,
sure.
when we was talking about uh love, I think the word love, to my opinion, is overrated, because we start talking to our kids as they're young and say, I love you, I love you. And sometimes we never even tell them the definition of love and what love really means and how love feel. And then you'll start getting with this lady and you'll tell her you love her, but you've been told you was love and I love you as you, but do you really know? Someone said, well, I feel this way, I feel that way. You may look at me and say, well, Wizzo, well, maybe you just had never felt love, and I show love differently than verbally like that. My mom has told me she loved me never in my life, but I knew she did. And when I told her? When she laid right there in that casket and I kissed her on her forehead. That's when I told her. Never did before then. So sometimes guys will use the word love just to have sex with that woman. And that woman will be wanting to hear you, I love you and love you and love you and I love you and love you. But you really, in my opinion, sometimes you really don't know. And if you get with this woman for the first, in my opinion, the first year, first 2 years, there's probably no love there yet, but there's something there. But I just think the word love is overrated, in my opinion. And I yield back my time. I got that from Jasmine Crockett.
Hey, you
I,
feel more like love,
PM,
or
sorry, I
you,
gotta speak
Wizzo?
just for a second.
Love is about. Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead, Pope.
What you
So
say?
that's an interesting take, Wizzo. It unique to me. I can definitely say I grew up knowing what love was or
Okay.
is. I can definitely say that, both from my mother and my father, from my grandfather, from my grandmother. Like I know what love is. I know how to love. I know how to recognize when I'm being loved as well. Not saying that it's a bad thing, how you went through it, but I know I'm more satisfied with the way I recognize love than I would say without it, especially when I hear a lot of how you were just saying about the men using the word love to just to get what they want from women.
Mhm.
Like, to me, that's because they didn't get raised knowing what love is
Mhm.
for them to be susceptible to that.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
and it's disheartening, but that's just me to hear that was your relationship. But it's just because I'm comparing it to the one that I had with my mother,
Mhm.
and that's it. It's just like I was saying, like when I know I could go and just get held, and doesn't matter what it is, I'm finna get that love. Like that was that healing. Like that's what those hugs were to me when she was around. It was healing. It was, I don't want to say spiritual, but it definitely repaired something on the inside.
Mm.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
when I would go, like, bring her gifts every once in a while. Like one of my fondest memories of her is like there was a nice estate sale, and there was a table. She had just moved into a new house, and I was able to get her this really nice table, and she basically was just dancing around me, telling me she loves me.
Yeah.
And it's still to this day one of the fondest memories I have. And it's such a mundane thing because it was just an estate sale. There wasn't anything. I just knew she liked the table. I could do it for her. And that reciprocity from being raised that way. Same thing with my father. Like, just being able to go to him and stand there and just fish with him and know that he's got my back. If something ever bad went down, I know I can go to him. You know, I try not to bother him because he's a married man, and he's still out there and has younger children now. But still, it it's there. It's there for me, and that I don't want to say it's a safe feeling, but it's damn sure comfortable.
Mhm.
It's damn sure comfortable to know that I'm loved.
Yeah.
Then
And knowing that is, hey, if you know you love, because I knew I could tell my grandmother loved me, my grandfather loved me, but my grandfather never said that to me. So I guess as I got older and now what I know what it is, I didn't know what love was. I know what it like because to me love is more of an action than just words. It's what you show me, like you say, the hugs, it's the action, how you treat me, what you do for me, how much time we spend together. It's all about showing. And I was showed what love is, but I never heard it out of their mouth per se, besides my grandmother, but not my grandfather. But they were way older, and yeah, he's been passed away long, like since 95, if I'm not mistaken. But he never said it to me. But I believe that if he had said it to me or showed it to me, it would have made it easier for me to show it to my own sons. Because until my oldest son, I think the first time I told him I loved him was about 4 years ago. Yeah, and he's 33, 32.
Right.
Yeah, so and that was only through, again, healing and counseling with Miss Wilson. Again, she's in Killeen. If anybody's there, she's a very good counselor, very relatable, melanated woman. But yeah, I'm for real. I recommend her to anybody because she showed me some things and found out some things. I found out things about myself through her. So and it's through that is I'm a work in progress. So every day I'm trying to be a better person just because I'm in the process right now of healing, and not just healing me through my healing. Now I can heal my family because the military and the things that I went through as a kid, it affected how I raised my children, how I viewed all kinds of different things. And right now I'm going through the process where I started a few years ago of I've been going around doing a lot of apologizing, whether it was to family members or my children, because I thought I was loving them the way that I was supposed to by just giving them, money, making sure they had the material things. But it wasn't about that. What they really needed was my presence there. There is what they need. They needed my time. They needed me to listen and to talk to. So I'm at that state point right now with most of my children. So yeah, get you some help.
And that's a good place to be, man. Like, my family, I can really say that to say that the love you word, Nah, we ain't hearing that, but the action gonna
Yes,
be there. We gonna know that, we love you because we gonna be there for you. If somebody mess with you, gonna tear the skin off their face,
Mhm.
all that type of stuff. I'm more of an action type person too.
yeah,
I never really, even touching certain relatives. We might give a hug or something, but I had to tell myself that I need to even start hugging my youngest daughter. She's 13 more, showing
yes,
her more of the love that I didn't give,
yes,
making it a balance, telling her and showing her at the time, always showing, you know what I mean? But it wasn't up until like you said, Rico, it wasn't up until maybe a year ago, 2 years ago. My son 29. I started saying I love you when I hang up the phone.
yeah,
Because he's in California right now. So after my diagnosis, after COVID and stuff like that, I ended up trying to, like you said, you went to apologize, and I went to reprocessing the way I moved because I
yeah,
fell into a deep depression. So I had to come back out of that
yeah.
and then start functioning like a normal person. I couldn't even listen to an R&B song without just battery just dying. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, why am I in this space? You know what I mean? But it
Yeah.
like I knew something was wrong before I got diagnosed. I bought some bullies, and I took my dog to the vet, and even my dog was depressed, I guess. The lady was like, "You and your
Based
dog
off of
need to
your
get out."
energy. Yeah.
Yeah, so he was being a part of me. So we both was like, not used to being around people. COVID then took place. Everybody in their little
Yeah.
shells and their little coves and stuff like that. So when I came up out of it, man, I had to start learning how to live again. You know what I'm saying? And I started showing, my actions now more vocal about saying I do love you and showing them love like always, you know what I mean? But that was very crazy for me at a certain point in time to where I wasn't, even doing it at one point.
Yes.
And which
It's
brings us to go
oh,
ahead.
go ahead. Sorry.
No, go ahead, Rick.
No, I'll say you just made me think about something with some of my son, my oldest son, he has his first child's a daughter. His daughter is 17 now. And I
Mm,
remember what you said about your daughter. I told him, I say, I wish someone had told me this when I first had kids or I had my first daughter. I told him, I say, you will be the first man that ever break her heart. You will be the first man that let her down. You will be the man that set the tone on how she interact with men in her future. So be careful how you talk to her, how you treat her. Make sure you tell her you love her and show her that you love her. Don't I say because however you treat her, that's how she's going to expect men and be okay with men treating her that way as well. So if you respect her as a young lady and treat her good, talk to her good, and give her morals, good behavior, she'll grow up and have healthy relationships. Because without that, she's going to be out there in them streets doing whatever because she wants love from you and attention from you, but she's going to seek it from other men.
mm, deep, definitely deep. So, for all of our brothers, you know what I mean? Like you said, the something that we hardly ever talked about, and I'm just now hearing about it in past years, is mental health. Rico, I know you wanted to, speak on that part of it, dealing with the military and things like that. What's your take on the mental health for Black men?
Ooh, when like earlier when I said most black men they won't do it because of the stigma behind it. They're gonna get talked about, and I hate that it's like that because without seeking help, you see what happens in our communities because it's just like the what they call it the ripple effect trickle down economics or however the little quote people say because how it starts here and like with me however I am and without help, it's just I'm gonna just pass that like you passed it to your dog. I'm gonna pass that on down without my I'm gonna pass that on down, and I don't need that. So young men go out there and deal with it so you can heal not just yourself, because after you heal yourself, then you're gonna see that you have some things to fix and you will heal your entire family, especially your children or your spouse.
Okay. So Tim, it wouldn't be, across the board. We deal with it on different levels. Um, Whether it's rich, poor, different things like that, wealthy, however it go. Does it make a difference with the mental health if you're able to go afford it, or just different families might not, the wealth might not affect you as much? I think.
So if we're talking about mental health, then wealth is not the biggest factor. Sure, it can make life easier for you, but you can live in a cold home with lots of money.
Mhm.
I think it's more about that nuclear unit, that family dynamic, the husband, the father, the wife, the mother, the children coming together and making it as old fashioned as it sounds is a traditional thing. Like our parents, sure, our parents and great grandparents did not grow up in the lap of luxury at all, but they still
Oh,
made it.
yep.
They still had standards that they held to. We go back and look before we had the right to vote properly. You still saw suited and booted black people working
Yep.
together with a common goal in mind. And money was not something that was anywhere to be wealthy, to compare even middle class. That wasn't something we had to focus on in the past. It was we had each other and it was us against everybody else. And when we had that mindset, when we had that frame, when we knew we had to work together, when we knew it had to be us or it was nothing, we had better outcomes. So no, wealth isn't the key factor. It is the nuclear family structure that would be one of the mainstays for health in our community.
Right. So Lizzo, like we're dealing with mental health, and we see a lot of people homeless. Does it, the homelessness factor of it? Do Are we just kicking? Like we've just now started diagnosing like peanut allergy, different. Back in the day when you thought a kid was bad, you just said he was bad. Now they what do they call it, ADHD, whatever. They're diagnosing
Yep.
different children with different things like that. Do you think it's a large percentage of people that's homeless right now have been kicked out their homes because they didn't know how to cope with mental illness back then and they just considered them crazy?
I think it's probably possible, but and I'll say this about the homeless. Seven, if you once said, our friend Seven has said, the homeless people out there are really free. They're free from everything and free from stress and free from this. And I'm like, well, Seven, don't you think they want a job, they want this? And people are homeless for a lot of different reasons. They didn't lost their house, the house didn't burn down, they lost their job, they can't really turn to their family because sometimes we all know family ain't what the crap, when you're trying to go to family, so, uh, you know, I mean, I really don't know how to answer that, but I just want to just say one thing. When Big Pokey was saying something about the strength or something to that effect, the women from back then, I think, was a lot stronger than some of the women are today that had they men back
Yes.
and were noticing different things, and I think Big Pokey said something about embracing him and hugging him. When that man come in and he knows that he didn't went out there and he done done everything or whatever and then went through whatever, and it's just that embrace from that woman, back then, as opposed to some women now that'll just say F it or whatever. I think it was just a stronger um, you know, breed, I guess, back then or whatever. And PM, I don't know if I answer your question because I get to going off and shit, but
Hey,
uh,
hey, man, this is an open
You
forum,
was
bro.
talking
You
about
say what
homeless.
you need to
I,
say.
I will say this also that Big Pokey, that as far as the black men mental health, you have to know that and recognize that and see that. It's the same way with how hurt men heal and who do we turn to. You have to see and you have to know and you have to realize that. And I think that and the women from back in the day when the man was out there doing all the work and the mama was at home, I think she noticed that and she seen all that and she knew that he needed and what he needed at that time. And I think that some now in this day and time that it's a little bit differently. But he has to know and she has to know if he's with someone. You just got to recognize that you have an issue, you have a problem. Me, I hadn't recognized that yet, even though my fiance been telling me probably about the last 5 years. but I hadn't recognized that. I hadn't accepted that.
Yes.
But I try to change some of the things that I do and say or whatever, to maybe it's not that, get to that point or whatever. So anyway, I yield back my time, as Jasmine Crockett said. I don't know if I answered your question, but I just get to rambling sometime about some shit.
Hey, man, it's all good. Hey,
I just
look,
want to add to
a
that,
lot.
T.
Oh, go ahead, Pope.
So about the homeless situation. So I do feel like that's there a big part of that is our system not recognizing some of the problems that create homelessness, like with our veterans, for instance.
Mhm.
Like how you mentioned, you discovered you had PTSD recently. Now you've been able to function for the most part as a contributing citizen. Most part, people wouldn't just eyeball you and be like, "Oh, there's some issue with you." But some of our veterans who have served have come back home and have not been able to function mentally properly at all because of the things that they've experienced, and which is why we have some of the homelessness that we do. Not just the people who want to be hermits, like Wizzo was mentioning, because there are folks who go that whole hermit route because they just don't want to take on any responsibilities, and I
Yeah.
acknowledge that. But there's a big part of our veterans that get left behind after they've served in the name of our country on our behalf. I just
Yeah.
wanted to point that out.
That's
Is
what
there
I was
help
going to
for
say.
veterans? Like, is there free services for them?
There is, but see, a veteran like me, I came up in a system that was different. The veterans that are homeless out there now, those are people who from like the retired in the 80s or they got it in the 70s and things like that. And they don't know the system that is there to help them nowadays. All they know is like they're out there on the streets and they just trying to get by. They don't know or know how to get to those services. And what I found out that most of them can't get services because they're homeless and you
I
need
have an
an
address.
address in order to get those services. So that was something that this guy in my unit was trying to work on, but I haven't spoken with him in a few years. I don't know how it turned out, but that's a lot of the problems. But it's definitely a lot of veterans out there. When I was younger and first joining the military, I know a bunch of men that were in Vietnam, black men that were in Vietnam, and most of them were on drugs and they just talked to themselves. And I asked them questions, and they told me like they're that way because they had to kill babies, they kill kids, and when they wanted to save bullets, they with the babies, so they want to shoot them because they get told to kill the whole village. And kids and women, they beat them across the head with hammers just to kill them. Everybody. Yeah. They told me these things that they were told kill everybody in the village, kids and all. And a lot of them can't deal with it. And so the one thing I want to say lastly is if you're a veteran out there, if there are services out there, try to get it. 22 veterans commit suicide every day, have been this way for almost 20 years now. 22, almost one veteran commits suicide every hour of every day.
I've been hearing about that too.
Yeah.
It's
So
it's a
it's a real
struggle.
serious thing. It is. And the thing about it though, in the military, it's even worse in the military with going get mental health help, especially when you get a lot of rank, you're seen as weak and all these things. I never chose to accept that because I had a good first line supervisor. He told me always go disregard what they say, but definitely go out there, get help. Committing suicide is just a permanent solution to a temporary problem. So go out there and get you some help, vets.
I like that, Rico.
And it was crazy that Wizzo mentioned Seven. We all know Seven, man. He gonna speak his mind. Love the dude. Um, Seven just says stuff, so we didn't figure it out, a lot of things that affect us as black men and causes these issues with us, from starting from the top of being family, military, all kind of stress that we, encounter. And we had that last episode. Wizzo said a lot of these women have mental health issues and they need to be seen because they out here tripping too, man, and they just don't know that they have mental health issues.
For real,
I
hey,
just
I think all women crazy here.
I
They
believe
don't
it,
know
man.
it.
What do you call it? They don't accept, they don't take accountability on a lot of things, bro.
Oh
They quick to throw it on us. Quick to
man,
throw
But
it
hey,
on us.
but I
I'm
think
so
that's our fault.
You need to
How is
go.
it our
When
fault?
you say that to my wife,
So the reason I think it's our fault is because we don't hold other men up to the standard to stop that from happening. Because it's about a force multiplier. At the end of the day, whatever occurs is because enough men say it's all right for it to happen. But
So can it be the power of the punani that's influencing the dudes? They just like, okay, let me get this. I'll tell
that's
you
one
whatever you want to know,
because it's a
whatever you
lot
want to
easier to
say.
get now. Because it's a lot easier to get now. So you'll go along to get along if that's what you want.
Go along to get along. That's a good one. Like that one.
Yeah,
Go
yeah.
along to get along. I
Yeah,
think once baby started putting in this music, talking about it ain't tricking if you got it, changed the whole world.
yeah. There you go.
Changed
There you
everything
go.
was messed up.
And that's why things are so transactional now. Like
yeah, and
you got
especially in our communities, like,
yeah.
yeah, it's bad because we don't have our foundation, meaning our families are not like they used to be. You know, with your grandparents, you got your whole, like I said, take a village. You really did have a village because I was raised by my grandparents. His brothers was around, my grandmother's sisters was around, and if I got something at the end of the street, I got to whoop it all the way down to my
All the
house, and
way
I
to the
lived at
crib,
the
right?
end of the
All
street.
the way
Yeah, come
home.
on over
Yes,
here and get
sir.
you some. So yeah, and now in our families we don't have that, and as men being men, I believe that it starts with us because we are the leaders, we are the providers, we the one who set the tone for everything. But society and those devils out there, they oppress us and they want to break us down, not just for men, but they know that if we can keep the families apart and black people have no unity, we can destroy them. Because look at our youth, look at the young women, look at the young men, they killing each other, they constantly in prison. And then the young girls out there, they don't leave no room for imagination, and that's because they don't
No.
have any fathers in their life. Because if they had a father in their life, they wouldn't get online like that because they know he could possibly see that. They don't have men that have showed them love outside of sex, and that's what most of the youth need.
And a lot of women are they like to reference, I don't want to be like my grandmother was back in the day, just listen to my grandfather and grandfather down there messing with this woman and this woman and this one. But we still had a structure. And there's no proof that your grandmother, you know, that was being done to your grandmother. You
That
wasn't
you
even here
actually
yet.
your granddaddy's baby.
Yeah.
Yeah, like you
Yeah. There's no proof that you actually your granddaddy's baby. That's fact. There is no proof.
And
We just don't talk about that. Like I get it. I'm with it. I'm with it.
you know,
There's a dilemma with the culture nowadays for sure. There's
well,
definitely a dilemma with the culture nowadays, and
yeah, and
I
it's
still feel like
you
It
got
is.
you got to look at the social media now. The women that's on there that's half naked and half this and half that, the rappers and the different things like that. So a lot of them are seeing that right there, and they're using their body to kind of go on and get what they want. But if you look at some of the pictures that I've seen from back in the day, even before my time, it was fully covered. The kids was dressed up and this and that or whatever. So uh, it was it's just a big different day and time. So
yeah, it's a lot of exposure, man. And it's bad. It's bad.
It is. It
Yeah, I
definitely
used
is.
to be. And when I was back in the day, I used to be happy just to see a G-string string. I was like, "Oh, wait, she didn't showed it to me."
yeah, 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 yeah,
I thought
yeah,
that
no,
was
Sports
something.
Illustrated used to be the business. What do you say?
yeah,
Jet magazine. What you talking about?
yeah, yeah,
Hey,
yeah,
One
look,
page.
yeah,
Yeah.
my uncles, when I was in high school, my uncles, they come out there to our house. I sit out there and listen to them talk, and they were like, "Boy, we had to work, go meet the mamas, the daddies, and sit down with them before we could do anything. Now they just, boy, I kill to be y'all age. They just passing it out." And just that was when I was in high school. Now, man, you go give them a couple pennies, and they think they can do what we do. They want to do like a man. I want to go and have 10 men and me in 1 week. Yeah,
But it's always
it's
the
crazy out
worst
there,
example, though.
huh?
It's when that what you just said, Rico. It's always that only comes out when they want to do something that they think is bad that men do and want to get away with it.
Exactly. Yep. You sure right. Yep. You sure right
Yeah,
about that.
that's
I
the
hope it's
only time
something
you
we can
get that.
do to
Yeah.
repair the culture. Because it is I don't see the future of it turning out too bright.
let me
I
if
just
If I can say this, I think maybe before you wind up closing or anything like that, is that we as men of color have to start acknowledging one another. I think PM, we've said that before, even with a simple head nod, we have to stick together and we have to
Yes.
start speaking to one another. I
Yeah.
would not walk by one person that looked like me, whether he's darker than me or lighter than me, but if he's anything that I know of color, I'm going to give him that head nod if he can get up off that phone to acknowledge me. I
Yep.
saw a brother walking down the hallway at work the other day, and he gave one other guy some dap. I've never known him. I said, "Shit, give me some of that." You getting him some, and he
Yeah,
did.
Yeah.
We have to do that because in this day and time, we have to start sticking together. They talk about the village, the village, the village. Well, you get with some parents now, they don't want you saying shit to their kid, because they ready to snap off and jump off. But just to touch on with us as men, we have to do better and we have to start acknowledging one another, one brother at a time. Seven and RV's been on, a chocolate Buddha been on, they live in Chicago, and they've said, well, you can't speak to nobody up in Chicago because they want to go and take that as a threat or they take that as whatever. Well, I'm gonna still try to speak to that person. I think that we as men, black men, some people don't like to be referred as black, melanated, cocoa butter, chocolate Buddha, or whatever.
All right.
Anything but white, Caucasian, or whatever they call them over there. We
Devil.
have to stick together and we need to start speaking to one another. Don't
Yes.
walk by a person of color and not, that's all we do. And that's
Acknowledge them.
acknowledge them.
Yep.
So that's
sir.
all I just wanted to kind of say on that.
And Big Pokey, man, anything you want to close with before we get up out of here?
You know what? I've enjoyed speaking with you fellas today. I hope I can do it again. If we
All
could
right.
get in on a spicier topic, I saw we kind of touched on it with about whose responsibility it is to make change. I would definitely like to get in more into that, and especially why I think it's on us to make a difference first. Basically, and those that go along to get along need to be put up against those that stand up to stand strong.
That
Mm-hmm.
part.
Yep.
Yeah, yeah, we big Pokey, we gonna get a lot of this here, man. We just, I know it's your first night joining us. And we're having all three of you guys on here, so best believe me, man, the future's gonna be bright. We got a lot of talking to do, man, a lot of change to make. But what I mean, these podcasts is giving us the voice, man, giving us the stage. So to me, Rizzo and Rico, we definitely, would love to continue these topics, man. And Rico, is anything you want to close with, bro?
I just want to say this for all of my people out there. There are some things coming here in the near future from this administration, and you need to prepare. Whether it's buying extra water, food, I would say the main thing you probably need to get is some weapons and ammo because there's some things coming, and those people have been preparing for a while. I know Seven says that, but I'm not gonna get as explicit like that. But it's really something coming, and when you're not prepared, you're gonna be the first to fall. So please get out there, protect yourself, men, protect your families, and women listen to your men if they right, if they wrong. But I just want our people to make it, love one another, acknowledge one another. Y'all stay safe, stay happy, stay blessed, and have a good night.
I
Oh yeah.
appreciate you, brother. I'm gonna definitely tap in with Seven. Gonna give me a knife. Seven got everything. He got knives,
Oh,
slingshots, bow
Pokey
and
knows
arrows.
seven too.
He got
He knows
everything.
seven, Pokey.
Huh?
He knows
Nah,
seven as well.
he hasn't met him yet.
Oh man,
He
seven
will.
is you. Hey, you
Shout
know
out
him.
to Seven and Chocolate Buddha.
For sure.
Yeah, yeah. Seven.
Yeah, man. So I definitely want to thank you fellas for coming out, man. This has been a
Oh
lot
yeah.
of, some relief, man, to have somebody to come out and talk to on the platform, to see. I know if this can help other black men that's sitting at the house and wondering, like, hey, I need someone to talk to. This will show them the different avenues, man, and the different things and steps they can take from the counselors, or, if you choose not to do that, your brothers, your friends, or somebody you can just chop it up with. Even your coworkers, or like I'd like to say, man, step into a local barbershop. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And get that out. So I'd like to thank Wizzo, Big Poggy, Rico. I appreciate you, brothers, for taking some time
Thanks for
out today,
inviting me
man.
on.
Thank
Yeah,
Oh
you.
I
man,
appreciate it for
appreciate it.
sure.
Hey,
Appreciate
It's
it.
been a
anytime, man.
pleasure.
Anytime.
I'll definitely be reaching back out with you guys, man. But
All right.
you guys be safe out there, bro. Now it's time to let y'all go. It's time for me to pay some bills. And I get back with you guys later on, man. Thanks you for
All
coming.
right. See y'all.
Yes, sir. Have a great one.
So there y'all have it, man. You just didn't get my opinion. You got opinion from some experience. Good brothers, not just brothers, but some good brothers out there. And that's just to let you know there are people out there that you can speak to, man. Just tap in with them. And like Lizzo was saying, we have to acknowledge each other when we out in public. That can be the difference between you having someone to talk to, meeting somebody, and that's gonna build on meeting other people. I just met Rizzo, and we've in the last month, man, he's introduced me to a lot of different people. You know what I mean? And just tonight, Rico and thus far. So, and I've been knowing Big Poke for a little minute. So tap into some people, man. Lock in with them. We need to change the culture, and it starts now. Like Rico was saying, this administration is hitting us with from the sides, blindsiding us, and our next 4 years is gonna be kind of crazy. We need to understand that, we need to count on each other, man. So I'm gonna go ahead and pay some bills right now, man. Shout out to my boy Sugar Slim. He beats, intros, outros, anything of that nature, man. Holla at my boy Sugar Slim at Instagram.com/Sugar Slim Beats, Mr. Blue Check Slim. He'll get you straight. Let him know that you heard me on the PM podcast. And tell him P sent you, man. Hopefully he'll get you straight, man. So with that being said, stay blessed, stay up, and stay out of trouble. Love somebody. Peace.